Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
First one is titled, "Want to make sure you paid exactly half?" Sure. Long story short, roommate situation went bad. I'd been managing the utilities because it's not my first time living in an apartment, and I didn't trust her to pay the bills. We agreed to 50-50, but I'd been charging her a flat utility for most of the month. Normally that was coming in a bit under half, but I make more, so I was fine with it. She fell behind on utilities, and has been playing catch up. The lease also accidentally renewed, so there were extra month-to-month charges. I told her $720 plus $160 for February utilities and we'd call it even. Due to her petty personality, she wanted a copy of all the bills to ensure she paid exactly half, as she was accusing me of overcharging her. Not once throughout our time in that apartment did she ever care enough to ask to see bills. And sure, should I have told her different prices every month? Absolutely. But being locked up in that apartment during the pandemic, depression from her lack of basic hygiene and cleanliness, I didn't want to tell her exactly how much each month was. I was fine with paying more as long as she just went along with paying the $160. But no, accusing me of overcharging made me change my tune real quick. I spent all morning organizing the bills and creating a spreadsheet showing how she has actually been paying less than half and now owes me just over $1,000. I'm still waiting on a response, but the karma has been delicious. Edit, still no response. We turn in keys, do the walkthrough today. Also made it clear she wanted to see the bills because she thought I was overcharging her. Next one is titled, "Make my friend cry and then lie about what I said in an official document?" Okay, I'll play your games. Once upon a time, there was an evil witch. This all happened my senior year of college, spanning about 6 months. I lived in a duplex where the main floor and second floor were occupied by myself and friends. Oftentimes, we'd throw parties in our incredibly large attic. One of these times, we got a noise complaint. Everyone was very respectful when the cop asked us to shut things down, and left no problem. All residents were 20 seconds, and we were the only ones asked to ID ourselves. Had a fine conversation with the officer, and he went on his way. Probably one of the easier incidents in a college town. While we lived off campus, any incident like this does get reported to the school. All 6 of us received a letter stating we had to go to a class about drugs and alcohol because we threw a party where drugs and alcohol were supplied to minors. We could of course appeal this, and we did. The school only needs 51% certainty that the event occurred how they thought it did. Seeing as everyone ID'd was 21 and there had been no drugs, we thought we had a strong case. This meant all 6 of us had to meet with the assistant dean individually to go through the events of the evening so she could ascertain what really happened. First 4 went fine, my female roommate was 5th, and I went last. She came home in tears. The assistant dean apparently tried to rip her to pieces, said she had awful friends, why not just admit we had drugs and given alcohol to minors? She stuck to her guns, but it sounded awful. I can handle that stuff, but I hate seeing people I care about go through situations like that. I went in prepared to my meeting, already hating this woman. I even had my phone recording the conversation in my shirt pocket. Single-party consent state in terms of audio recording. The conversation ended with her saying, "Why can't you just follow the rules and act like a grown-up?" A few weeks later, we all received another letter. They had dropped the drugs alcohol bit due to lack of evidence, but had decided we had created an unsafe environment with only one exit. There were a few lines in the letter where Student X said in the event of a fire, guests would have been asked to jump out of the rear window, and other completely fabricated statements. Sure, there was only one flight of stairs up to the attic. But unbeknownst to the assistant dean, we had one of those fire escape ladder window things. We appealed yet again. But the second time around, you meet with a board of peers, teachers, students, assistant dean, and the police officer that had responded to the complaint. Being a law nerd, I volunteered to go on behalf of my friends. That being said, we were allowed one person as counsel that couldn't say anything to the board, but could write things down to pass on to me. QMC and following the rules, just like the assistant dean had asked. I showed up early, as did the officer. He was totally chill, and was getting paid OT to show up to a meeting to do nothing instead of the usual route. Everyone shows up, and the assistant dean immediately questions why I have someone with me. Well, per school code 14 subsection B etc. I am allowed to. This is my friend X, who has a law degree. Just following the rules. We get into semantics and how dangerous our party could have been blah blah. I get to speak last, without any interruptions, until I yield. Time to drop bombs. I pull out printed sheets for everyone in the room of my Amazon account showing I had purchased the fire escape ladder thing months before the party had happened, proving we had indeed had multiple exits. I then passed out copies of the letter we had received written by the assistant dean, and had highlighted all of the fabrications and lies about the previous conversation I'd had with her. I recorded our entire meeting. I'd like to take time for you all to hear that. At this point she's fuming and blurts out that what I did is illegal. The cop butts in and just gives that a big ol' nope. Single party consent for audio recording. We all listened to the full 15 to 20 minutes. So as you can see, all rules were followed by myself and my peers, and nothing unlawful happened. Not one of the highlighted sections was actually said. The only thing that worries me is how the assistant dean openly lied as well as brought my roommate to tears. I'd ask that all charges be dropped at this time against us. She then tried to backtrack saying she had made grammatical errors in the letter, but everyone was smart enough to see the difference between the wrong form of your and telling people to jump out of a window. A few weeks later we all received another letter stating that we were good, and no further action would be taken. I then went out of my way almost daily to walk through the admin offices where the assistant dean's office was to give her a wave and a smile. Next one is titled, "Don't ask me again about a refund or you'll get nothing." Okay, I won't. Among 2030th somethings around the world, social dance has become not just a hobby but a community. People routinely travel to other cities and even other countries to attend dance weekends, with local dancers hosting visitors. It's a great combination of fun, social connections and hijinks, and a physical skill that can ratchet up to high intensity. Many such events are organized by professionals who are event organizing rockstars. Other events are fly-by-the-seat-of-their-pants affairs, run by amateur organizers who couldn't manage a lemonade stand. This story is about the second kind. An organizer announced a 4-day dance camp in another state with a bunch of instructors. It was a first-time event, but I knew these people from some past events, and it sounded like fun. 4 months before the event, a registration website opened, and the early bird registration cost was like $600. I had the time and 30 single professional income, so I bit the bullet. Weeks passed. TBD event details remained TBD, which was unusual but not that unusual. More weeks passed. I started periodically emailing the lead organizer asking for updates. Occasionally I got a vague assurance that it's all good, other times, radio silence. Deepening skepticism. 4 days before the start of the event, I received a message from the lead organizer, "Event cancelled. Something, rain damage to the venue." I was disappointed, but hardly surprised, mostly annoyed because United wouldn't change or refund my ticket. When shall I expect a refund? Sorry, we all lost money on the planning of this event. No refunds. What? I started digging. Rain damage looked sketchy because the National Weather Service reported that the whole state had received 1 inch of rain in the past month. I personally knew one of the lead organizer's associates, so I called him up. Yeah, no, rain damage. He gave me an earful about months of non-planning. The event had been a mirage. I sent a rather to-the-point email message demanding a refund, and the lead organizer agreed and asked for a few weeks. The refund didn't arrive. More email exchanges led to more promises and more missed dates. Eventually, about 9 months after the scheduled event, I received one last response. "Don't ask me about this again, or I won't refund anything." I waited another month. And then, late one evening, something in my brain clicked, and I decided. Time's up. Malicious compliance, he doesn't want me to ask him about it again? Okay, I won't. Instead, I visited the main web forum for this dance community and posted my entire experience, backed by facts and dates and quotes. I copied the full unedited email exchange between me and this organizer, up to and including his last message. I reviewed and tweaked it carefully, repeatedly, making sure that every statement was accurate and fair. I clicked post and went to bed. When I woke up the next morning, my inbox was on fire. The dance community came down on this organizer like a nuclear bomb. Upcoming events scratched him from their rosters. People posted about some of the slimy things this organizer had done previously in past events. Students and, I was later told, some close friends dropped him. Best part, a few pro-organizers of other, top-tier events publicly responded. This is not how our community operates and not how we treat people. And to prove it, we're offering Reckless Commenter a complimentary pass to our events. The lead organizer initially posted an indignant reply, but quickly realized the gravity and hopelessness of his situation and shifted gears. He called me, first time actually communicating with me outside of email, pleaded for forgiveness, and promised a full refund, sniveling a bit about needing to take a cash advance from a credit card. Full refund arrived about a week later. For years afterwards, I periodically received messages from people reading, "Hey, this organizer wants to do an event with us, but we heard something about a bad experience you had with him. Can you tell us what happened?" Sure, here's a link to the forum post that documents what went down. I deleted it about 5 years after the event, because I don't believe in ruining people for life. Next one is titled, "I Demand Compensation for My Troubles." A few years ago I was the front office manager of a popular hotel brand in my town. We had some unfortunate circumstances within our rooms that led to many valid complaints with very little we could do to rectify the situation due to budgets and brand standards. I did the best I could with what I had, and was known for being not giving in to rude people and their demands. One day, a gentleman and his wife checked in and weren't overly rude at first but weren't particularly friendly either. The wife handled the check-in process. After, they went and got their room set up and I watched them leave. They come back towards the end of my shift, about 10 p.m., and go up to the room. Within 5 minutes, the husband is standing angrily at my desk. I mentally prepare myself and step out of the back office. "Husband, we turned the heat up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit and our room is only 75. This is outrageous, we are going to freeze tonight." Me, internally wondering where the hell it is acceptable to sleep in a 90-degree room in the States. "I do apologize, sir, unfortunately our individual thermostats will not go above 75 degrees. You can set them higher, but the system will not allow for the temperature to rise that high. I see you have our king suite which allows enough room for a space heater. Would you like me to bring you one?" Husband, a space heater? Are you kidding me? I want my heat to go up to the temperature I set it to and nothing else. I won't be sleeping with a space heater, and I will be sleeping in a 90-degree room. Me, again sir, I do apologize, but that isn't an accommodation I can provide. I have some extra blankets I could deliver to your room, with or without the space heater to help keep you comfortable. Husband, not acceptable. I can't believe you won't give me what I want. Call maintenance. Me, I cannot do that sir, it is almost 10:30 p.m. and we are only authorized to call maintenance after hours for emergencies. Husband, this is an emergency. I want your manager and maintenance man here now. Me, I am the manager on duty and I will not be calling anyone else to come into the hotel tonight. I have offered the solutions available to you. Would you like to take advantage of the blankets or space heater tonight? Husband, no. I demand compensation for my troubles. I will not be able to sleep tonight and my wife will not be happy. What are you going to do for me? Me, of course, I understand. I am happy to offer you 250 bonus points for your stay if you are interested in skipping housekeeping tomorrow. What do you think? Husband, fine. What else? Me, additionally, I can let the breakfast attendant know to extend your room complimentary breakfast for the remainder of your stay. Husband, it's about time you did something useful. Thanks for wasting my time. Walks back to room. The malicious part. Well, you see, his wife had already signed up to skip housekeeping for those extra points during check-in. He wasn't paying attention when she did that. I also work for a chain that breakfast is always complimentary. I compensated his troubles with rewards he was already entitled to, and he was none the wiser. His wife left a 4-star review and we had no complaints for the rest of their stay. I did have to make sure housekeeping turned the thermostat back down after they left though. Next one is titled, Walk Away, and Quit Worrying About It. Have fun catching up to us. My friend and I were walking our dogs through a huge, off-leash park in our town that's kind of wilderness Y with crisscrossing streams and several bridges. We walked to the bridge that leads out of the park, then turned around and headed back in. Our dogs were running around playing with each other, and there was a man and woman coming towards us with 2 adult dogs and a puppy. The puppy was on leash but the woman let him off as they approached us. This puppy loved our 2 dogs and wanted to play, so we stood still for a bit, as did the other 2 people, and then my friend and I started to walk away. The puppy stayed with our dogs, so we kept glancing over our shoulders to make sure we didn't get too far from his person. Clearly we were the only ones concerned about that though, because the other 2 people just walked away, in the opposite direction, without a glance back or a call or anything. My friend and I stopped walking, again to make sure not to increase the distance, but they never looked back. It's really wooded there, so it was tough to see them, but eventually, we could see they were standing on the bridge out of the park, so we turned back and walked towards them to bring their dog back. We could see they were standing about 1/4 of the way along the bridge talking to some other people, so my friend called out, "Hey, can you call your dog?" several times, but they ignored her. We ended up walking all the way to the bridge to get their dog back to them, where my friend told them to put it back on a leash so it wouldn't follow us, but they still ignored her and kept talking. We gave up and turned around and walked away again, and no surprise the puppy followed us again. And we got too far away for comfort again, so turned back a second time, and called to these people again to get their dog. This time the guy yelled at us, "Quit worrying about it and walk your dogs, we'll figure it out." I mean, it should have been clear to them at this point that their puppy was nowhere near them and following us, and that we'd doubled back twice to try and return it, but he told us off for trying to help, so we just said, "Okay buddy, you bet," and went back to our walk. I mean, if I'm being totally honest, we might have say, doubled our original walking pace, but still doing what we were told. Once we'd got out of sight, I guess these stellar pet owners started to worry a bit, because the guy actually started to call the puppy, but that didn't work, and we were still walking. Eventually, we were far enough away and out of sight that the guy started to walk, running in our direction, still calling the puppy, which was still playing with our dogs and totally ignoring him, and we were still power walking away, just not worrying about it, just like he told us. A couple of extra details: this guy was in no kind of shape, and the ground is covered in fresh snow, so super slippery and hard to run in. So now he's trying to run to catch up, still calling the puppy, and we can hear some pretty labored breathing. Unfortunately for him, my friend and I have now reached the steep uphill portion of the dog park and we're not slowing down. Puppy is still having a blast with our dogs. Now the guy is shouting various reasons that this is not his fault. Like that it's not his dog, he's just trying to catch it for his friend, or that he didn't hear us before, to which we call back "K" and keep walking away, because we're unclear on how any do that would be relevant, given that he shouted at us to quit worrying and walk our dogs. Now he's almost caught up, but he's wheezing and panting and red in the face and trying to catch a super hyper puppy that's running full tilt around us and having no difficulty dodging him. And we're still walking. But eventually, we decided we weren't enjoying having a wheezing, shouting, panting shadow, also some concern that he was about to have a heart attack, so I scooped up the puppy and handed it to him. To be fair to him, he was quite grateful at that point. Which is fair since we were only doing exactly what he told us to. Next one is titled, "Don't Want to Wait in the Correct Line." Okay, that's fine. This happened roughly 3 months ago. I work in a very well-known pub chain in the UK. Think of a chain which includes a cutlery in the name, which isn't a fork or a knife. In the specific pub, due to certain reasons, it was decided that only 2 tills were to be kept open. One till was purely for card payments, as we were actively trying to encourage contactless payments, and the other was both cash and card. Both till had large print signs above them, informing patrons of which till accept switch. 3 weeks into this arrangement, one of our regulars, aptly nicknamed Dickhead Dave, decided to queue in the card-only till, which rarely had more than 2 customers in line. Due to the lack of people in the card-only line, we regularly ask patrons to please move to the shorter queue, my till, the card-only till, if they are paying by card. He arrives at my till and orders his 8 pints for the table of 4, all same household apparently, and threw his scrunched-up cash around the plastic barrier, which landed in the ale drip tray. Obviously, I had to touch this anyway, so I pointed to the large letter sign expressing that it was card only on this till. To wit, he replied, "Just get the change out of that till then, boy." My temper was tested but subsided, and then I realized, nobody is behind him in the card-only till. Game on. I walk over to the cash till, ale-drenched cash in hand, and ask the server if they would like me to speed up their service by pouring their drinks because I need to use their lanyard to open the till to retrieve the change. 5 customers, 26 drinks later, and I can finally hand the customer his change from the cash till and then proceed to pour his drinks. Read the signs, people, you might get served quicker. Last one is titled, "So it's too loud to work past 10 p.m? You'll have to pay me for another day then." I work in the theater industry, the live entertainment type, and was doing a freelance gig as a carpenter building a set. As normal, the budget was 50% less than it needed to be and I had to do in 2 days what should have taken a week. I get paid a day rate, so regardless of how long I am there, I get the same amount, but the rate agreed was very good, so it was worth going the extra mile and putting in the hours. So I started early, worked through breaks and finished late. On the second day, I just had a couple of things to join together with bolts, a simple 5-minute job right at the end of the day, but it was late, about 11:30 p.m. The venue had a noise curfew at 10 p.m. which is designed for the rock concerts playing live music at loud volumes. However, the venue manager, who had only been working there about a month, was very insistent that I was making too much noise with my tools. It was his first experience of a show being put in, the previous production was already open when he joined. Manager: "You can't make any noise after 10 p.m, we have a noise curfew here." Me: "The noise curfew is set at 90 decibels and there's a meter on the wall over there to monitor it, my tools aren't registering over 75 decibels. I always work late like this on these shows, sometimes I'm here until 4 to 5 a.m. if I need to be, to make sure everything is ready." Manager: "No, you aren't allowed to make any noise after 10 p.m, you have to stop what you're doing." Me: "But you're making noise talking to me, I don't think you'll find it any noise, it's 90 decibels. I have this one last job to do and then I'm going home, it's going to take 15 minutes at most." Manager: "That's not possible, you have to stop now." Me: "Are you sure about that? They really want this set finished so they can rehearse here tomorrow. If I have to come back tomorrow, then it's going to be very inconvenient for everyone, and for no reason." Manager: "You can't make any noise, so it will have to wait." So I did as I was told, packed away my tools and came back in the morning. The next day the producer was more than a little annoyed, but I explained the issue with the manager. He instructed me to finish building the set, which I did in about 10 minutes. I then took great pleasure in handing the manager my invoice for 3 days working, even though I'd been there for probably less than half an hour. It was perhaps a little churlish of me, but the point is, I could have had to cancel another job to come in on the 3rd day. Besides, the rule says I get paid day rate regardless of how long I'm needed. The manager realized his mistake when he spoke to their technical director, and I never had to stop working late again. Thanks for listening.